Hey guys, this video is an extended video inspired by the one I did yesterday in the sauna. Just had a sauna again, that's why I remembered to do it again, or put more detail to it. And that is the importance of leaving our mind quiet, okay? So that we can feel things, okay? So we can actually feel what we need to do, how we need to react, decisions we need to make, whether they be related to work, relationships, friendships, family, whatever, whether we travel or not, decisions that we may be pondering in regards to our health, okay? And what I just wanted to emphasize again to you guys was that sometimes, even though these necessities are emotional, there's plenty that we can do consciously, okay, to drive the function of our mind to a certain place. And that place is present, okay? And sometimes this isn't one day to the next. You might have been really struggling to make a decision on something or get some clear thought patterns for a while. So if that's the case, please don't expect to implement new strategies and then within 24 hours you'll have the answer. That said, when I had major decisions in my adult life, especially the last 20 years, when I decided to leave Brazil and come home, maybe sell some properties, close clinics, whatever, I would often just take a weekend. Maybe the decision had to be made Friday. I'd do my best to prolong that, to get an extension, and I'd just go away on the weekend. I'd separate myself from people. I'd surf, do yoga, meditate, do some breath work, dive deep, distract my mind, go to the movies. Okay, I love the movies. Cinema distracts us quite a bit. So, and it's escapism, especially if the film's good. So we can go there and sure, our mind's busy, but it's not. We're focusing on what we're watching, but it's actually in a rest mode for that time. So remember that one, give yourself time. And that's the case for any aspect of our health, whether it be our mental health, physical health. Let's say we've got to lose a few kilos and we want to get fit. We don't go to a gym and expect that in 24 hours we're going to have those results. We put braces on our teeth and we need to align our teeth. We're totally understanding to the fact that they may take 6 months to a year to 3 years for some people, depending on the severity. And that's quite similar to the severity of our mental state, our emotional state, when we decide that we need to make changes and need to dedicate to making a decision. So I don't know if you can relate to this, but quite often when I've just been too heavy on myself, and I see this with a lot of my clients as well, that they have to make a decision. They're at a crossroads and they really, I guess, they're heavy on themselves to come up with that decision. They give themselves a deadline and, then they get stressed out because they haven't decided by a certain deadline. Then it just goes on and on. So it's that whole thing. If what you're doing isn't giving you results, change it. Change the recipe, put more ingredients in there. Listen to people like myself or many others that you have access to in books and online, philosophers, psychologists, therapists, coaches, and many more people. Okay. I often feel also that when we've got to make really important decisions, it's important to talk to people. Okay. Therapists and professionals are used to talking to others, so they've developed tools that they apply to their clients, but they also learn from their clients over the years what works, what doesn't. So that's really important. And listen, if you don't have access to a therapist or somebody you can talk to, speak to a friend, speak to a family member, someone you trust and you feel safe with. And that's also really important. So that's another tool for you. Let's go now to the fact that, and this is often overlooked, that chemical stress, and when I refer to chemical stress, I'm talking about things that affect the chemistry of our body in a negative way. And there's many negative aspects, but let's just look at levels of inflammation. Let's look at hormonal imbalances, okay? Especially cortisol, that is chronically elevated when we're stressed out. So we can actually induce a altered emotional state by the foods we eat. by anything that's pro-inflammatory or high in sugar. Your body has to elevate insulin to deal with that, and takes up cortisol as well. So can you see, if we work backwards from diet to emotions and cortisol, we can actually see how diet can stress us out. In reality, I love the definition of stress as being it's a situation, where your body has to adapt, okay? So when you put yourself in an emotional state, a chemical state, or a physical state, and it just gets to the point where your body's dealing with it and then it's not able to, it has to adapt, that's when a stressful state is induced. So to that point, you can actually get many positive effects, physiologic effects from, let's say, exercise, but then it gets to a certain point where it becomes detrimental. Exercise becomes stressful and your body goes from a serotonin boost to actually a cortisol boost. Serotonin being our feel-good hormone that ideally we induce when we exercise. So I talked about chemical, in that you can also put known toxins such as smoking, fizzy drinks, foods that are cooked in vegetable oils, fried foods, for example. You can look at nutrient deficiencies. Okay, if our cells are congruent, their functions congruent with a certain degree and number of vital nutrients, vitamins, trace minerals, carbohydrates, proteins, fatty acids, the right ones, such as the omega-3, and the right ratios between those, then of course when it's not getting it, it goes into a stressful state as well, okay? Because we force it to adapt to a reality that its genes don't want to adapt to. Back to physical. Anyone who exercises, anyone who trains for an event can probably relate to what I'm going to say right now, is that exercise can be performed at a level that induces stress. Let's say, it could be as far as prolonged, how long we do it. So a prolonged strain, it can be due to exercising at a moderate level for example, a 40K run. Or it could be just weights in the gym that you draw out too long, that you're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, thinking that benefit equates to the effort you put in. But it's often not. It's often better to go high intensity, short duration. Anyway, that's another video, but go and look at high intensity exercise. Look at also the fact that if you're sedentary, it's one of the most stressful things we can, put our body through. And that's because your body's made for exercise. So it is congruently programmed to receive movement regularly, okay? And it is extremely stressful not moving. And you'll probably notice that. Those days that for some reason you might be traveling or you're sitting down a lot, you actually feel tighter at the end of the day and maybe more stressed out than those days that you get out, walk around, do your exercise and whatever. So please consider the fact that exercise, yes, can induce stress, and that can make it very difficult for your mind to be quiet and relaxed in those times that you have to make an important decision. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot more I could talk about, but I don't want to lose your attention on this. I just want you to consider the fact that maybe there's other elements affecting your state that you need to look at, okay, in order to leave your mind quiet. I truly feel, after being through this, really being in states where my mind was just influenced by too many things in a negative way, and then getting to the other side of it and learning, okay, this is what I did to get on top and be more present. I truly believe that one of the most important interventions that you can make for your health is anything focused on emotional health, where your mind is left present for as long as you can during your life, so that the times you do need to use it, it's ready to go and it's not fatigued, okay? All the best.